factory experimental. They're all hanging back in there. This is not the top line. It is tangled up in our staging lanes, baby. I know we have more FX cars.
At Car Show Clips, where a car is so much more than a set of wheels.
I'm Ted Brine, live in Monroeville, Pennsylvania at the present. I've lived at a number of locations around the country during my working career. Right now I live in Monroeville, and you're looking behind us at our 1934 Ford. It's a nostalgia fuel coupe, as cars were built in the 50s and 60s. The history of the cars is pretty interesting, as they began after World War II out on the dry lakes in Southern California, and the people that built the cars wanted to keep going faster, so they started out with flathead Fords and then later on morphed to overhead valve engines, and ultimate engine was a Chrysler Hemi that they put in them. In a quest to run more often, they couldn't run at the dry lakes all the time, so they still started building drag strips, and when they did that, the cars had better traction and they started relocating the engines in them, so they became ultimately fuel altered, and the car behind us is kind of regarded, this type of vehicle, as the parent of the fuel funny cars of today. I'm blessed to have a ton of really good and terrific friends. The car was painted originally in Philadelphia, but as you know, we crashed the car last year pretty severely out in Bakersfield, California at the Hot Rod Reunion, so it was the top half of the car was repainted and all the repair work done by a good friend, Dave Leidy, out at Exotic Cars out in Wexford, Pennsylvania. And some of the car had to be relettered. The lettering on it was done by gentleman Jim the Painter from Philadelphia. He's a very well-known painter and graphic artist, and he recreated a lot of the lettering when we destroyed it that he had done before. But Jim painted famous cars of Bill Jenkins, the Jade Grenade car, Jungle Jim Lieberman, among others. The engine in the car right now is a 472 cubic inch Donovan Chrysler Hemi. It's a Chrysler architecture from early Chrysler engines from 51 to 58. And then Ed Donovan in the early 70s decided they needed a more robust block, so he developed the aluminum blocks that this car has in it now. And when the car was originally built, in the first 8 or 10 years of its life, well, more than that, until I bought the car back in 2013, the car had a 392 cubic inch early Chrysler in it, as they ran in fuel dragsters and fuel altereds and fuel funny cars in the 60s and 70s. But when we decided we were going to put it back on the track, we thought we needed something that was a little more durable and reliable, so we sold off the iron motor that had been with the car since we built it, and built this Donovan Hemi for it. But we try to retain some of the old things. It's got 331 Chrysler iron heads on it. Engine's 7.2 to 1 compression, as I said, 472 cubic inches. It's got a 871 supercharger on it, Hilborn fuel injection, and it runs on a mixture of alcohol and nitromethane, somewhere between 75 and 85% nitromethane. And nitromethane is an exotic fuel, and under the heat of combustion, not to get too technical, it frees oxygen from the nitrogen radical and expands exponentially in the combustion chambers, and makes a tremendous amount of horsepower. If you took this particular engine on gasoline, it would probably make somewhere around 11 or 1200 horsepower. On alcohol, it might be upwards of 1,800 on nitromethane. Sky's kind of the limit. We can run anywhere from 22 to 3,000 horsepower, depending upon how hard we drive the supercharger and how much spark lead we put in it and what percentage of nitromethane we use. Sure, the car back in the old days, we used to just run as they did back in the 60s when we built this car. In the 80s, we would run 860s to 950s really in the quarter mile, but the tires would be smoking the whole length of the track, and it was all for show. We didn't really try to go fast. We tried to kind of have folks remember what the cars used to be like in the early 60s. Recently, when we put the car back on the track 2 years ago, we had to do some updates because the tracks are so much better now and the traction is a lot better, so we started actually going faster with the car. It's capable of running in the sixes at over 200 mile an hour. Just last weekend we ran just a short half pass out in Bakersfield, California, and the car went 790, 163 without any throttle, so it'll go as fast as we want it to do. Getting a hold of the track is another thing, and making it stable all the way through is still another issue that we always have to deal with because it's about as aerodynamic as a flying barn. Well, the car is an exhibition car because there's no class for it anymore. Back in the 60s, it would have run as a AA fuel altered, and in the early 60s, they had a classification that was called fuel coupes. Those are all been long gone, but people still like to remember. So we run nostalgia events all over. We run Englishtown, New Jersey, Atco, Maple Grove, Indianapolis Raceway Park, New Alexandria, Pennsylvania, and recently we run last couple of years out of Bakersfield, California at the California Hot Rod Reunion, which was a lot of fun, and we were one of the featured cars there 3 years ago, and they have a nice exhibit at the Doubletree Hotel for the awards, and they invite 6 cars to come over, old cars, and fire them up. They call them cackle cars because of the way they sound when the fuel motors are running. So we fired our car up over there, and they probably had 5,000 people on hand at the Doubletree Hotel that day. So that was a lot of fun. And then the last 2 years, we actually put the car and ran it with the nostalgia fuel alters with 13 or 14 very famous cars, and there were a lot of photo shoots at the end of the track at Famoso in California. So it's really quite an interesting and hugely attended event. I think they get 50,000 people there for the hot rod reunions. Now, when we run against other cars when we do the nostalgia fuel altered shows, and they have a 6 flat index, which we're really not capable of running that fast with this car. Just because of the weight of it and all, but it's kind of a combination of show and competition. Yeah, we go up against other cars, and last weekend we ran the old Winged Express Wild Willie Borsch car in the second qualifying round of the fuel altered. So yeah, we run up against real cars, and they run them as hard as they can. We'll run up at Keystone Raceway Park up in New Alexandria. The folks up there treat us really well, and we'll do 1 or 2 events for them during the year. We do the Pittsburgh Dragway reunion in September up at Keystone Raceway Park. Plus, we'll do some other things in the area. We do some static car shows. Jim Sankwitz from the old announcer at Pittsburgh International Dragway that's been going since the mid-'70s. He puts on a tremendous cruise out in Sonic and Bridgeville, and they got 900 to 1,000 cars there last year. And we'll take a car down there and start it up in the parking lot for the folks, and it always gets a lot of people's attention. It's kind of funny, I guess. Prices are what people will pay. I could easily say it's a 6-figure car. Whether you would get that or not depends upon the time of day. It has limited use. It has to be people like us who are interested in nostalgia, and but it does have the one advantage of the capital cars, we'll call them, in the country. It's likely the only one that is NHRA legal to make quarter-mile passes. A lot of the other cars can only be static started, where this car can actually run down the track. So that's the real appeal to it. And there was a lot of thought that went into doing that when we bought the car back.
Where would you see this car? Would you ever see this being sold or put in a museum or anything at any time?
I've had offers from the National Hot Rod Association to put it in the museum out in Pomona. And I suspect somewhere along the line I'll do that, because it's a good friend of mine, Mike Lewis, who used to, his family owns Maple Grove, and he worked for NHRA, and now he's the vice president of Schumacher Racing. And Mike came up and said, yeah, this car's a piece of history and a throwback to all of our heritage, where we all started from. And so I suspect, based upon those kind of comments from Mike as well as other people, that I'll probably wind up putting in a museum somewhere down the line, yeah, when we're done with what we do right now.
So thank you so much for taking the time, and hopefully we'll see you again real soon.
Thank you. Yeah, stop by when we're out the track the next time.
Visit our growing collection on Facebook at Car Show Clips and online at VintageCarStudios.com, where you can commission our unique artwork. Enjoy the memories and the machines.